I haven't talked to my friend, co-host First Things First, Nick Wright, in a while. Every time I see Nick, he's more tan and the beard is longer. He is. Look at that. I like it. That's nice.
Maybe I'm considering growing my hair and my beard until the Chiefs lose, but that might be well into 2025. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that I'll end up looking like Rick Rubin. Also, by the way, Colin, how many places around the globe are you going to visit before you come to New York City one time? I've lived here 7 years. I think then you've been to every continent but Antarctica. You made your 6th trip to Canada. Stop by New York City one time, man.
Yeah, well, I used to live next to it for 10 years, and, I spent many a night there hobnobbing with the fun people of your neighborhood, which is a fun neighborhood. Okay. Yeah. Sean Payton did what is very rarely done. Fired back at his industry, executives, a coach. Yeah. It just does not happen in sports much. What did you make of it?
Well, I thought your take about the kind of, not rushing to be offended, it's not the angle I had on it. I thought it was really smart and interesting. My takeaway was, though, of a totally different direction, which is Sean Payton, for all the shots, deserved shots he fired at Nat Hackett, I fear might be making the same exact mistake Hackett made, which was his biggest one, which is being in denial about the biggest problem, which is his quarterback. Even if they had the most seamless operation in Denver last year, even if they didn't have any of the issues getting the plays in, if they didn't have any of the issues on the offensive line, Russell Wilson's arrow pointing directly down, dating from his second to last year in Seattle, to his last year in Seattle, to falling off the cliff in Denver, is a massive problem. This is a player who the first 9 years of his career averaged 11 wins, never was below 500, never missed a game. The last 2 years is 9 and 19, or 10 and 19, pardon me, as a quarterback, has been injured both years, and obviously he's been below 500 both years. So if Sean, I think we'll see what Sean does behind the scenes, but if he is going to coach this team as if they have All-Pro Russell Wilson, I think he's going to be sadly mistaken.
Aaron Rodgers took a substantial pay cut. We know this to be true, that if you're the top-paid quarterback in the league, it's just harder. Mahomes may be different, that he can win a Super Bowl with 9 rookies playing legitimate snaps. That's not the model, right? Like you would like to have more seasoned people around it. Patrick's just different. But I did think it was significant, and I do feel that Aaron is putting a mirror in front of him and is saying, I didn't do blank, blank, blank well in Green Bay. I'm going to reboot some stuff. It does feel like self-awareness. It's like, hey, I'm more engaged with the kids. I don't need to be the highest paid guy. I'm not going to keep talking about retirement. It does feel like he's looked at himself and said, don't do this, this, and this. Does it to you?
So I totally agree. And I'm skeptical about the Jets this year, and we can get into that if you'd like. But on this specific decision, even though I have been critical of Aaron over the last couple years, there is no criticizing this. This is an objectively positive thing for the New York Jets and for Aaron's chances to compete for a Super Bowl over the next couple of years, and it undoubtedly will gain him some goodwill, not only amongst the organization, but amongst the local fans and media. That can, I don't know how much it'll help, but it certainly won't hurt. There is no but on him. This is, guys restructure contracts all the time, but that is different. That is just moving money around. This is taking more than $30 million that he was going to have to be paid and making it to where he won't be paid that. So giving up $30 million is a huge thing, and it will, in a salary cap sport, help the Jets. My question, and I know J-Mac won't like this, is how good should we expect the Jets to actually be? And I have real questions about them on that front.
Yeah, I do too. I'm more in the 8-9. He's more in the 11-12. He's never had a bad O-line, and this could be a bad O-line. My takeaway on the Jets is that simple. Schedule's brutal. A lot of good defenses. Aaron's never had a bad O-line, and this potentially could be one. That's where I land?
I agree with all that, and I'm going to add this. People, I think the simple logic on him is they won 7 games with the worst quarterback situation in the league. So how many will they win, even if Aaron's not MVP Aaron, if he's just a good quarterback? And my question would be, how accurate of a portrayal of their season is that? Are those 7 wins? When you look at those 7 wins, and they came against Josh Allen, that's a great win. Against Aaron Rodgers, that's a good win. And the other 5 wins, Colin, came against either backup or third-string quarterbacks.
Yep.
They beat Jacoby Brissett. They beat the Steelers in Kenny Pickett's first game ever when he came in off the bench and threw 3 picks. They beat, I think, maybe the worst coach-quarterback combo for any one game in NFL history when it was Nat Hackett against Brett Rippon. They had 2 other wins against backup or third-string quarterbacks. That, to me, they beat the Dolphins in a game that Tua didn't play. Bridgewater played 1 snap, then it was Skylar Thompson. So I do think there are legitimate questions of, is Aaron walking into a 7-10 team, or is he walking into a 5-12 team? And if they are that, then even if he's a big improvement, 8 or 9 wins feels like about the ceiling to me.
All right, Mahomes took a team-friendly deal. He's a highly paid quarterback, but I think he's going to be around 7th. Should that bother him? Do you think it does bother him?
Okay, I don't think it bothers him. And I would make the argument that he will make more money by making less money. And that sounds ridiculous, but so if we are talking about right now he averages $45 million a year, and the number 1 paid quarterback now is at $52 million a year. So if we're talking about he's probably already cost himself, call it $10 million, and now it's $7 million a year moving forward. How much is it worth at the end of his career if he is near universally considered the greatest player of all time? Is that worth $100 million? Is that worth $200 million? How much is being the GOAT for a long time been worth to Jordan? How much will it be worth to LeBron? How much has it been worth to Tom Brady? So from a pure dollars perspective, I think Mahomes forgoing every last dollar will actually make him more dollars.
Yeah.
And from a team perspective, so that's just the money, and obviously it's good for the team. So if Mahomes had squeezed every last dollar out of the Chiefs last offseason when Josh Allen and others or whomever had passed him on the list at that point, Aaron certainly had at that point, guess what? Maybe they can't sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling for 3 years, $30 million. Well, he caught the critical touchdowns in the Jags playoff game and the Bengals playoff game. Do I think, and I know people have made the argument, Colin, well, they can restructure and they can move things around. That bill would come due during Mahomes' career, and at some point he would have less around him. Now, in a decade, if he's near the end and he wants to squeeze the Chiefs because the bill comes due after his career, more power to him. And I'll support him no matter what. But I think he is doing what is best for the team, but also actually what's best for him, because his ultimate ceiling is not Hall of Fame. His ultimate ceiling is the greatest player in the history of the sport. And in order to do that, he's going to need a lot of good talent around him.
By the way, you had your NFL tiers, and you go all in on this. You have half the league represented or more. In fact, you may have had the whole. It's a lot.
No, it's the whole league. It's the whole league.
Okay.
And it's named tiers. I saw, by the way, while you were gone, I saw J-Mac doing his NFL tiers. J-Mac, you do whatever you want, but I'd appreciate you find a different word. Tiers is proprietary, of this show and the committee. But go ahead. What's your problem with it? Because it's a perfect set of tiers.
Dark horse candidate Green Bay, Chicago. Yeah. I think Pittsburgh at the end of the year was significantly better than both teams. I think you're giving a lot of. Let's just stick with Green Bay. Okay. Dark horse candidate for what?
So to make the playoffs. So here's the problem, Colin. Here's the problem with, and I'm not casting aspersions, but with you. You're going to say, oh, boy, my dark horse this year is the Carolina Panthers, who I have going from 7 wins to 8 wins. That's not dark horse. You're going to hear other people be like, guys, my dark horse candidate to make the playoffs, the Detroit Lions. And it's like, folks, they're literally favored to make the playoffs.
All right.
The definition of a dark horse is a team that no one sees coming, that storms in and makes the postseason, like the Giants last year, some would argue.
Yeah.
And if you look at those three teams, there is no clear-cut team in the NFC North if you expect that the Vikings are going to take a step back. So that would give the Packers and the Bears some eligibility, if you will. And the Steelers are never bad. They have an excellent defense, one of the three best coaches in the sport, and a quarterback in year two. So what I am saying is one of those three teams is going to shock the world and make the playoffs. This, again, it's very important. This is not a power rankings.
Right.
If you want a power rankings, go to a local hotel and open up the USA Today they give you for free, and you'll see it. This is a tiers that each category matters, and I just think one of those three teams is going to be a playoff team. I don't think that's ridiculous.
Look at Nick Wright. Nick Wright is this look. You look like.
I know. I look ridiculous. I'll be honest. I look ridiculous, but I think the more ridiculous I can look and stay on TV, the more it makes my takes seem important. Because I think people are like, why is this guy? This guy must be brilliant if they put him on TV looking like that. So it's all part of my master plan, Colin.
And the pocket square brings it all together. Whatever all
Thanks,
is,
man.
it brings it all together. Nick, good seeing you, buddy.
See you, buddy.